to be daring, baby.
Hey, girlfriends. I know you see it. I know you see it. So, I'm going to try a new series starting today called Mask and Tea Tuesdays. So that's why I got my mask on. And I'm going to pick a topic out of my handy dandy canister. And we're going to see what we're going to be talking about today. Reach down. You all ready to reach down in here, take a sip of my tea, just in case I got to get ready, because I don't know what is on here. Let's get into it. All right, y'all want to know what we talking about? Can you see? We're going to talk about Hurricane Harvey. So for those of you who don't know, in August of 2017, the city of Houston was devastated by Hurricane Harvey, including my household. Okay, so I'm not going to draw this story out too long, but this was just shy of my 1-year wedding anniversary. We had already planned the trip. We also had already planned to move into a new apartment pretty much as soon as we came back from said trip. Or was it supposed to be right before? I think it's supposed to be like right before. Like we were literally moving and then leaving. And then we started hearing about this hurricane. Now I hadn't been down here for like a real hurricane yet, and neither had Justin, I don't think, because I think the last big one was Ike, which was, I believe, in like 07, 08, but I could be wrong. Neither of us lived here, so we had hurricane scares that like either barely missed us or just didn't hit us as hard. We definitely have had some flooding, like a lot of flooding happened in our neighborhoods before we got married. We were like in 2 different places, so that was scary because I think Justin was even out and about, and I was flying in from Chicago, this big flooding that happened, but we were both okay. Our places were okay. Our cars were okay. Everything turned out to be fine. It was just scary. So Hurricane Harvey rolled around, and I was at work, and they were like, okay, work is going to be closed. So I'm like, oh my gosh. They shut down work. Oh, I didn't tell y'all my tea. So I'm just drinking fresh ginger tea with a shot of rum, okay? And some turmeric and honey. If you don't drink fresh ginger tea, you need to be drinking this. It boosts your immune system, especially out here in these COVID streets. So, and y'all see my mug. And then on my face, I have the Beauty of the Horn mask, which was featured in my Black-owned skincare video. I'll put that in the cards. So this is a Black-owned mask. So yeah, it feels good so far too. So yeah, anyway, back to the hurricane. So I was like, man, is it really gonna be that serious? I was like making jokes like, oh, ha 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 ha, like at least I get to go home, you know, like preparing to like be home for a while, because I had experienced the flooding a few times in Houston, but I'm not really thinking that it's gonna, you never are thinking that it's going to be how it ends up. Like I'm just like, people like, well, you know, because I had knew a few people that had like lost their cars in flooding, and I was like, well, if it takes my car, I can get a new car. Like, so I'm just trying to make light of the situation. You know, I don't want everybody to be all scared. I don't want to be scared. I make it home safely. Justin makes it home safely. We actually went out to eat that night because we don't know we're gonna be able to get out to eat again. Justin is always like, it's not gonna be that bad. It's not gonna be that bad. Like he's always the like optimist pessimist, if that makes sense. He's always thinking like, oh, they're blowing it up, but let's be prepared. Like he still came home with like cases of water. I stopped at Kroger on the way home and like stocked up on like all these like pantry items, because we eat a lot of like fresh stuff, so which isn't good for hurricane prep. So we eat a lot of like fresh fruits, fresh veggies, deli meat, like things you put in the fridge. Like that's the stuff that we eat. So our pantry mainly has like spices, maybe some pasta here and there, but it doesn't have like crackers and like canned meat and stuff like that, because we just don't eat that stuff as often. But I stopped at Kroger and stocked up, y'all. Like I got granola bars, chips, like crackers, like all kinds of stuff that you just put in the pantry. So we were prepared, but like not scared, if that makes sense. So we at home and the hurricane hits. So we like, okay, like everything was still fine. We had power, everything was fine. That night after it had passed, I guess the eye of the storm, we walked Vivo, and there was like a layer of water in the parking lot in our apartment. So I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like you can really see water. So not really, I'm like, whatever. The next morning, my father-in-law called and was like, hey, are y'all okay? But Justin was like, yeah, like we're fine. Like we walked the dog, about to get him, walk the dog again, like everything's good. And my father-in-law was just not convinced. Sure enough, we go outside. Now the water is like, I'm gonna try to insert pictures. Now the water is like over like to like maybe our knees. And I'm like, dang, like overnight. So we lived next to a bayou, well not next to, but near a bayou, and they were releasing the reserves so that the rest of the city that was completely underwater could get some relief. So when that happened, Justin went out, he waited out, he took Vivo and found a padded area for him to like do his business, checked on our cars. Our cars, the water was like up, like over the tires. So still had a chance, but iffy, right? So we like, okay, go to sleep again. We still have power. On day 3, there was no way we could even take Vivo out. Like we woke up and the cars that we could see in the parking lot was almost, you couldn't really see them. Like they were pretty much covered with water. So we're like, okay, we got to get 2 new cars. Like we just already had a feeling. Our cars were parked in our carport, so we couldn't see them. We didn't park out in the front in our apartment. So we like, okay, like, so we like, okay, we still gonna try to wait it out. I think 2 more days went by. We were pretty much stuck inside. Like there was no way we could leave unless we like waded through water, which isn't the safest thing to do because you don't really know what's in that water, how deep it is, how strong it is. And that's a lot of times when people drown in that hurricane water, it's related to that. Like you're assuming that it's just sitting water, but it's moving. And sometimes it gets too strong for you. So we're not, unless it was in any emergency, we had decided to not try to leave. So we're just kind of waiting it out, right? We're like, okay, we have electricity, but then we lost electricity like day 4. I think we lost electricity. So we like, okay, like now what we gonna do? Day 5, we woke up. No, I'm sorry, backtrack. Day 3, we lost hot water. So we were like boiling water to like take baths and like cook and all that stuff, like what we could do. Day 4, we lost electricity. So we like, okay, let's wait this out a day and see if it gets better. Day 5, we didn't have electricity, hot water, or cellular service. So we like, okay, now we got to figure out how to get rescued. So luckily we have some really good friends in the area. Justin was able to get on the balcony and like reach out and tell them like, hey, if y'all can figure out a way to like help us, like now we need rescue. So a good friend of ours had requested help for us through the Cajun Navy, and some other friends of ours like were calling, like, because they lived further north. Houston didn't have any damage, nothing. So they were like, if we can get to that freeway near y'all, and if y'all can get to that freeway, we'll pick y'all up. We like, so all we gotta do is get like 2 to 3 miles down the street. Okay, we'll figure it out. They had been coming on boats in our apartment complex trying to rescue people. We had been saying we were fine. Now, I had already said if we couldn't wait too much longer because this dog would not he would not do his business in the house. Like, he wouldn't do his business on the balcony. He wouldn't do his business right outside of our door. Luckily for us, we lived on the second floor, so we didn't have any damage inside, because our neighbors below us lost everything. So I had already said, okay, luckily we're upstairs, but it's only so long we can have this little dog in here without being able to like relieve himself. So day 5 was like, we were like, okay, it's too much going on. The dog hasn't done his business. We don't have any cell phone service. So if there is an emergency, we would have no real way to reach anybody. So then we were like, okay, let's get going. We gotta go. So they had been coming around on boats asking if people need to be rescued. We had been saying no. That morning, Justin was outside, like, yes, like, we need help. So sure enough, we put Vivo in a storage tote in case he floated away. I didn't want him to like drown. Y'all know Vivo is a little bougie dog. Look at him. Like, do he look like he gonna be able to swim and save himself? No. So we put him in a little storage tote in case he floated away. We packed like, I think we packed like an overnight bag, like a couple changes of clothes. We were not expecting to be going long. We were just going to wait for the water to go down and come back and basically pack up to move. We were planning to move anyway. So the guys were able to get us as far as the water went. And it was so surreal riding a boat down the street that I drove every day. Like, I remember sitting in a boat, like, with tears, just like, you can really tell because it was still kind of rainy outside, but I was overwhelmed. Like, I could not believe I had to be rescued by boat from my apartment, and then I was riding a boat down my street that I drive every day. Like, it was a lot of emotions, but we made it, and we like walked about a mile, and then some people picked us up and took us to the gas station. We were able to call them, tell them exactly where we were. They picked us up, and then y'all, we were at their house for 11 days and 10 nights. Now, luckily, they are really, really good friends. They were fantastic through the whole situation. Like, when we realized it would be longer, like, they took us to like buy clothes. We had friends and family, like, just extend their love and support to us. Like, we are kind of frugal people, so we tend to have money saved for a rainy day. But we didn't even have to touch any of our emergency fund because our people showed up and showed out, and y'all know who y'all are. So shout out to each and every one of y'all. Like, I cannot thank y'all enough. We will never reach out for help unless it's like dire, because we just always feel like somebody is like worse off. But the fact that people were just like, you know what, it was crazy because I didn't really initiate any conversation about what I was going through because I just didn't. But people would like randomly reach out like, hey, you're in Houston. What's going on? Like, how y'all doing? And I would be honest and say what's going on. They'd be like, okay, well, what can I do to help? And I'm like, no, we're good. Our friends have us, like, we were blessed. Like, we were at our friend's house in their beautiful home. They had a dog, so we didn't feel like our dog was as much of a burden. Because if somebody doesn't have pets, I would just feel more like, oh my gosh, they're not even used to having an animal in their home. Even though he's not really an animal. He a baby boo. But it's just different, right? So it turned out amazing for us. They would like take us every other day to see if the water had gone down enough for us to get to our place. Obviously, it took a while for it to. We were eating good, sleeping good, like everything. We were good. Like, we were good. Like, didn't really miss a beat. It was difficult going from having 2 cars to 0 cars was difficult. Waiting to see when you would be able to do stuff that you would normally just do. Like, even when we were like shopping for a car, we would like, hey, can you take us up to the dealership? So, like, it was, it's just different because I got a new car like the next week because we just needed transportation. We didn't know what our jobs would be like. We didn't know when they would be reopening and when they would be demanding for us to come in to work. So we at least needed a car. You know what I'm saying? So, and it it all worked out. Like we were really, really blessed. Like we when we did get back to our apartment, we did pretty much throw everything out just because I'm asthmatic and I have really bad allergies. So the sitting water in the apartments under us, we were nervous about the like mildew and the mold that would have grown in the walls, and like, you know, stuff that you can't see that could really become poisonous later. We just got rid of it. A lot of we were also downsizing from a 2-bed 2-bath to a 1-bed 1-bath, and we had so many families near us that had just lost so much. We donated everything that could be donated. We just gave it away. And yeah, that's pretty much, I mean, it was a lot. It's still, I still, like, everybody knows, like, if it's raining hard outside, I'm not coming. If it's a flood advisory, I'm not coming. I'm not leaving the house. That was a scary time. I had been like that though from like when I first moved here. There was a really bad flood and we almost got caught out in it. So Hurricane Harvey just magnified that. And I really am grateful for the people who reached out to me, because I'm just not the type that's going to reach out like, hey, this is what I'm going through. Like, help me. And I didn't really need help. I definitely needed a place to stay. So shout out to my friends. I definitely needed a place to stay because the FEMA hotels, they were not anywhere that I would want to stay. I can't even believe that they're like, that's what they're having people stay. It was like, it wasn't even like Motel 6. It was like lesser than Motel 6. Like almost the like motels you pay for about an hour. That's how it seemed to me, but it could just be me. I would say another thing was just, I feel like I was in a very difficult place anyway at that time. I was coming off of like I said, I was still in my first year of marriage, which, you know, that's an animal in its own. I also had just the whole wedding planning fiasco was just horrible for me. The whole wedding day was just horrific for me. And I had not felt so let down by almost everybody that I knew and loved. I don't remember ever feeling that let down, even still to this day. So, and that was something good, right? Like I was getting married to this wonderful man, the love of my life. Don't regret anything about that day or marrying him. That's something happy. So I feel like what I want to leave you with is, if you are not there 100% for somebody in good times, you cannot expect for them to reach out to you in times of need. That's just the reality of it. So people were reaching out to me like, man, I didn't even know that like y'all like lost your cars and had to move on the fly and all this stuff. Like, why didn't you tell me? It's like, why would I? First of all, I'm not the type to post stuff on social media. Like, the only reason why this video is going out is because that was 3.5 years ago almost. So I wasn't gonna, I'm not gonna post it on social media so you wouldn't find out that way. And if I had already expressed needs and desires to you as I'm preparing for the biggest day of my life and you had let me down, then why would I reach out to you in a time of need? Like in a time where I could really be vulnerable. Like, why? You've already shown where I fit on your priority list. And you've already shown that it's like, if this is the top of your list, I'm somewhere around here and under. And that's okay. Like, that's fine. But don't come at me. Don't come at people like, why didn't you reach out? And you know you have dropped the ball in your friendship. Like, don't, or in your relationship with a family member. Like, don't do that. Like, that drives me crazy. Like, I feel like if I cannot celebrate with you, then I cannot grieve with you. Does that make sense? Like, because grief and going through hardships takes so much more vulnerability than like being happy. So yeah, I'm not if you've already shown me where I fit, that's cool. And I see that. Like, I see you and you see me. Like, we're good on that end. But don't act disappointed when I'm not continuing to like open up to you and open my heart to you and be vulnerable with you, because that's what that was. When I've reached out to you and asked you for help, or asked you to, or expected a certain level of celebration from you, then I'm not going to expect for you to be there for me in such a dark time in my life, because I have to be really able to trust you and be open to you. Vulnerability is already difficult for people with personalities like mine. So once you shut down my vulnerability, I'm like done. Like, it's almost nothing that you can say to even revive it. Like, I'm good. So that's what I wanted to leave you with. Thank God we have recovered more 10, 15, 20 times over. Thanks be to God. To God be all the glory. Thankful to our friends and family who really stepped up and supported and filled gaps that we didn't even know that we would need. We appreciate it. We still went on our trip and we celebrated our 1 year anniversary. We were both really stressed and really, really tired when we went, but Justin said that's all the more reason why we should go. So we did. We went on a cruise to Honduras, Belize, and Cozumel, I believe, and it was great. It was very, very much needed. And then we came back and got to work with unpacking our new apartment. So yeah, comment down below if anything that I said resonated with you. If you were in the Houston area, if you remember Hurricane Harvey, and yeah, give me some feedback. Am I holding on? Like, is the way that I am holding grudges, or am I just setting boundaries? Okay. So that's my first Mask and Tea Tuesday, y'all. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out, curl friends.